So here's another area that we run into with heat exchangers, which is very often common, and that particular common aspect of it, of course, is we're dealing with a mild steel tube sheet with copper tubes. How many people have this type of thing in their chillers and what have you, and then all of a sudden we have severe mild steel tube sheet corrosion due to this galvanic couple of copper and mild steel. This is a beautiful battery that actually will cause, the copper will cause the mild steel corrosion occurring. Now, can water treatment stop this? Nah, it will help a little bit, but it really is not very good for doing this type of thing, because these batteries are, literally the corrosive action is so intense that you're going to attack that particular mild steel tube sheet and cause severe attack. And possible leaking of the refrigerant between the tubes. What you need to do is be able to go with a cleaning and sandblasting, rebuilding the surface, and then applying a multi-coat epoxy on that particular surface to be able to protect it against the corrosive nature of the water. Why do we use a multi-coat epoxy with different colors? Well, if you use different colors, that means that you could identify any voids, etc., that may have occurred on the first coating. I frequently like to have 3 coatings, 3 different layers of 3 different colors, and that works out very well. Be sure you also coat the water box and the channel while you're doing the same thing, because this is contributing, of course, mild steel, iron oxide if it's corroding. And if you have a brand new chiller, the ideal thing is to get it coated with epoxy on the tube sheet prior to actually putting it in the surface. You have a number of the manufacturers that can do that for you online before they deliver the chiller, or you can do that by actually going directly, and once you install it, to actually do it online and bring it offline and put the epoxy coating on it. Here's an example of really serious pitting attack between the actual tube and the tube sheet. In fact, some cases you have the tube extending further out than it would normally be, but you can actually have penetration, corrosion product buildup, plugging in the tubes, and possible leaks that might occur in that between the tube and the tube sheet, and that would mean that the refrigerant would be lost. Here's a good example of an excellent project of having epoxy coating tube sheet. That's going to give you lots of long life and reduce your water treatment chemical requirements. It'll improve your protection of your equipment and make it last a lot longer. Some people have actually used other techniques too, which is still worthwhile, and it's the use of the zinc sacrificial anode. That's an example of that block on the left-hand side. This happens to be in a utility power plant condenser. The use of a zinc sacrificial anode, which corrodes in preference to protecting the metal surface around, so it has to be in direct contact with the metal surfaces you want protected. It'll corrode, and of course the zinc will go back into solution, and it'll be carried around with the circulating water, which zinc is a corrosion inhibitor. The corrosion soluble zinc salts are corrosion inhibitor for carbon steel, so you get some benefit on that. Like many people actually use magnesium, and the magnesium, of course, doesn't provide any protection to your equipment, but it is a very effective technique to use. Do not use aluminum. Aluminum is probably the worst thing you can use for sacrificial anodes because it produces a lot of deposits of aluminum. It reacts with phosphate to cause severe depositing in the tubes itself, so don't use aluminum. Use either zinc or using magnesium.